Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I hope you are well. I'm doing fine. I've been watching the British Open. It's a good tournament. I like Justin Rose. Gold, we know, is still not being played yet. It'll be on start Sunday night, so they take the weekend off at Combs. Pardon me while I eat. What a day we had in baseball yesterday. Oh my God. Let's go through that, and then we'll go through today. Then we'll do week one of college football, the lines, and talk a little bit about the Bricks Comex and money. And then I think we'll go watch the back nine of the British Open. Well, I haven't been watching much golf, but this is pretty. I'm rooting for Justin Rose. All right, yesterday, huge day. So we start off Tampa Bay under 8.5. They beat the Yankees 9-1. Where does Tampa get 9 runs? I had the Yankees not scoring, but I didn't think Tampa could score. So I'm noticing there's more hitting going on. They're getting used to it. The shit batters, the under 200 batters, I'm seeing less and less of that. So they must be taking them to the minors. And then the pros that hit, I'm getting a lot of 250, 260 hitters. So you're getting more runs. So Tampa loses under 8.5. Detroit over 8, winner. They've been hot and they won again. It was a high scoring game. Oakland over 9. They've been hot. They won. The JETS, Jets, Mets, they win. They win 1-0. Philly under 9, a ballsy bet, but Pittsburgh, I think they beat them 4-1. It's funny, when I was looking at the score, I was like, oh shit, I either had Philly over or Philly. And then I had Philly under 9, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know I'm hot when I play them under and they win. Cincinnati over 8, winner. Texas, the 5 unit yesterday under 8, doesn't win. Scherzer gives up a bunch of runs, which is, what are you going to do? So Texas under 8 loses. Baltimore, though, can hit. And so we got to understand that they're hitting Scherzer. They're hitting anybody. San Diego, they win. Kansas City, they win. Mini over 7.5. That was my kind of strong analytical play. Many in Milwaukee hit too much. The pitchers were like 4 ERA pitchers. And I said, this is ridiculous. The 7.5 we played it. Scored like 11 runs in the game. Arizona wins. The Dodgers over 9 wins. Colorado over 10. They played like a 4-2 game. And then Houston wins. So what a day. 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2, 10-3 picking baseball. And I didn't, love any game. Mostly 2 and 3 units. The 5 unit I actually lost was Texas. So you got to wonder why is that the 5 unit and then it loses? Well, if we go back, it was Scherzer against a good pitcher for Baltimore. You're assuming Scherzer's going to, they're only going to get a run or 2 against them, not 5. The pitcher for Baltimore, they only got 1 run on him. That was right. It was Scherzer didn't really have a good day against them, which is surprising, but that's what happens. So great day yesterday. And let's look at today's games. I've already looked at them, but I'll go through them anyway. So we got Milwaukee, Minnesota. We've got Chevalier 2-7 with the 4.94 against Joe Ryan 6-6 with the 3.53. This line changed. It was 8. Now it's 7.5. So I was over 8. Now I'm 7.5. Just like yesterday. And I'm going to make this. Well, I'll keep it at 3 units. Joe Ryan's not bad. 6-6 with the 3.53. Chevalier's 2-7 with the 4.94. There should be a lot of runs. There should definitely be more than 7.5 runs. So we are over 7.5 runs. That's your one. Well, these don't start till 1. You got an hour and a half. There's no 11 o'clock because Peacock's showing the golf. They can't show the baseball. Tampa and the Yankees. The Yankees minus 155.9. Shane Baez 0-1 with the 5.23. Marcus Stroman 7-4 at the 3.51. I'm going to go over with the Yankees. I think against Shane Baez or Baz, Brian Bosworth, I think they finally start scoring. They've been facing some pretty good pitchers for Tampa. Not today. 0-1 with the 5. So this is why it's all the pitcher. All of a sudden, here's a weak pitcher. Look for the Yankees to come on strong. So we're going Yankees over 9, 3 units. St. Louis and Atlanta, Miles McCollus, 7-8 with the 5.13 against Spencer Schwellenbach, 3-4 at the 4.43. Should be an over game. I'm not going to bet it, but I do like this game over 9. Cincinnati, Washington, and Cincinnati minus 105.9. Andrew Abbott, 9-6 with the 3.39 against Jake Irvin, 7-8 with the 3.49. These are the impossible to pick games because the pitchers are good enough they can throw a shutout or 1 run. But not bad enough to go over. So when I look at it, Cincinnati, Washington, the over-under is 9. So they've been getting a lot of runs. So here's the problem. Scared to bet it over because pitchers are, 3.39, 3.49. And, they've been hitting good. I would think this would have gone over, but not with these pitchers. I don't really like the game under when the teams are hot. Sort of like Baltimore, the Yankees and Philly have been kind of slumping, but Baltimore's been hitting that, to go over against Scherzer, you got to understand that. So not going to play this game. This game's just confusing. I can't really play either pitcher. It looks like an under ERAs, but they're right in the middle where they're very tough to pick. All right, Philly, Pittsburgh. Philly minus 125, 9.5. Tyler Phillips, 1-0 with a 4.50 for Philly. Marcus Gonzalez, 1-0 with a 2.45 for Pitt, but he pitched 3 games in April, and then he just came back like a week or 2 ago. And he's got a 2.45 ERA. Well, I looked, but he doesn't pitch, 4 or 5 innings. He gives up 1 run. So I don't know what to do here. I don't really want to play. This is a hard one. Tyler Phillips, I don't know. It sounds like bullpen day. Philly hasn't been hitting against Pittsburgh. I'm leaving this game alone either. I prefer to take Philly or Philly over when I'm betting Philly games because they're just so powerful. But in this case, we're going to just leave it alone. So these 3 games are tough. When you get these 3.5, 4 ERA pitchers, you just don't know over or under. All right. Detroit, Toronto. Toronto minus 160 over under of 8. Kender Montero 1-2 with the 5.47. He sucks. Kevin Gausman 7-8 with the 4.50. Who's not been pitching very well. Detroit's on like an 8 or 9 game win streak, and they've been going over most of those games. They played a 10-run game yesterday. I'm going to take Detroit over 8 for 5 units. This will be one of my big plays. I got a few big plays today. So this is one of them. Montero sucks. 1-2 with the 5.47. So Toronto should start hitting. And Guzman is 7-8 with the 4.5. And the way the Tigers are playing, they're good for 6, 7 runs. So all we need is 8. This is a joke. Definitely go over 5. San Diego, Cleveland minus 120-8. Michael King 7-6, 3.41. Ben Lively 8-5 with a 3.58. There's another one of these 3.4, 3.5 pitchers that you just don't know what to do with. I'm going to leave it alone. Again, I don't know. They're both good teams. Cleveland with a great bullpen, which makes them hard to go over. You either bet Cleveland. Lively's okay. King, I don't know. So I'm going to leave this game alone. The JETSs against Miami. The Jets are minus 158.5. Christian Scott for the Mets, 0-2 with the 4.36. Trevor Rogers, 1-9 with the 4.76. So I like this game over 8.5. See, once the pitchers now are in the 4s, it's different than the 3s. They're not as strong. I'm not expecting either. Trevor Rogers 1-9 with the 4.72. I would take the Mets, but the Mets, they won 1-0 yesterday. And here Christian Scott's 0-2 with the 4.36. I got to believe that they'll start hitting again. Over 8.5 seems to be the best play here. The White Sox, KC. KC's a huge favorite, 250-8. Drew Thorpe for Chicago White Sox, 3-1, 3.58. Seth Lugo, their all-star, 11-4, 2.48. We're going to go under with this game. Kansas City under 8, 5 units. I think KC wins, but Drew Thorpe at the 3.58 could keep the game a little bit lower scoring, but I think KC wins the game also. I don't like the 250, so that's why I'm going under. Arizona and the Cubbies. Cubbies minus 125, 7.5. Brandon Pfaadt, 4-6 with the 3.97. Shoto Imanaga, 8-2 with the 2.97 for the Cubbies. Well, I looked at Brandon Pfaadt's last 4 or 5 games, and he's not a 3.97 right now. He's like a 2. He's been pitching really well, and that's what you got to look at, the streaks. That's the difference with baseball. So I love the Cubs here under 7.5 for 3 units. I think this will be a low-scoring game with these pitchers. Baltimore and Texas. Okay, Baltimore, you just beat Scherzer. You're the man. What can I say? Texas is a 125-9, which I don't understand. Dean Kramer, 4-5 with the 4.38 against Andrew Heaney, 3-10 with the 3.79. Can somebody explain why Texas is favored in this game? You just beat Scherzer. You're not going to have any problem with Henry. And you scored a bunch of runs. I'm taking Baltimore 5 units as a live dog. I just think they'll put up 10 runs today, and Texas is not hitting. And I don't like Henry. How do you make the favorite 3-10 with the 3.9 with the 3.79? I mean, he doesn't win. So Baltimore 5 units. San Fran and Colorado, we had the game over 10 because it's Colorado and they hit better at home, but we're going to leave it alone. So we lost yesterday. Today, Frisco minus 145, 10.5. Hayden Birdsong, not Otis Birdsong, 1-0 with the 3.72 against Austin Gomber, 2-6 with the 4.61. I'm not comfortable going over 10. I don't like this Birdsong. I don't know. Comer 2-6 with the 4.61. I'm not betting him. I'm not betting this game. I'm going to leave it alone. California and Oakland. Oakland's been hotter than shit. Oakland minus 130-9. Carson Fulmer for California, 0-2 with the 3.45. Joey Estes, 4-4 with the 5.29. Loving Oakland over 9. I got 3 units on it. This is such a Oakland's been scoring. They had 18 runs on Boston. They got 10 runs yesterday. I also think California should hit Estes, who's got a 5.29 ERA. Oakland will hit whoever. 0-2 with the 3.45. So look for this over 9 easily. And then we got 2 more games. Houston, Seattle. Seattle minus 120. Seattle minus 127.5. Roland Bianco, our no-hitter guy, 9-4 with a 2.56 against Ric Flair. Brian Wu, 3-1 with a 2.45. He's been pitching good. We're going to take Houston under 7.5 here. Both pitchers are 2.4, 2.5s. Houston's been hot. Seattle doesn't hit anyway. I think Bianco throws a shutout. I think Wu. I don't think Houston will. Well, Tuve will hit a home run in the 8th to win it 2-0. So I like Houston under 7 because Seattle doesn't hit anyway, and they're certainly not going to hit Bianco. And then Ric Flair's pitching with his 2.45 ERA, and I know he's pitched a lot because we keep seeing Ric Flair. So this is a good under. This is 5 units. So Houston's another team like Philly, like the Yankees. It's hard to go under. Baltimore, they're so explosive that you can do a game or two when aces pitch and get away with it, like I did yesterday with Philly Pittsburgh. But it's just too hard to make a living trying to play these teams under. So this is a spot for Houston under their ace against Seattle's ace. So under 7.5. Okay. Last game, Boston Red Sox and LA Dodgers. I don't know why I said that. Boston against the Dodgers. Dodgers are 125-9. Cutter Crawford, who was good, then went bad, now seems to be getting it back. 6-7 with the 3.04. Let's look at the Cutter. So he started out really good. He started out with giving up one run, shutout, 1 run. Then he ran into problems, started giving up 4 runs, 6 runs, 5. So he had a stretch where he gave up 4 runs, 1 run, 6 runs, 5 runs, 6 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs. So he sucked for 2, 4, 6, like 8 appearances in a row. He went bad. But now we look at it. Since then, in July, he's given up 1 run, 0 runs, 0 runs, pitching 7 innings. So he's got his shit back. So now we can, so he's really good. He's really bad. Now he's really good. But if you blend it out, he's got a 3.04 ERA. But it was a 1 ERA, then a 5 ERA, and now a 1 ERA. So he's hot. Let's look at that. Over under 9. James Paxton, 7-2 with a 4.34. Let's look at him. Let's see if we can figure out a bet here. Paxton. Oh, he's a Canadian. Oh, okay. Why isn't he playing hockey? I don't know. He's got a couple of. He is a starter, but his last 5 games, he gave up 3 to Detroit. In 3 innings, he gave up 2 and 5 to Milwaukee, 9 against the 49ers, which makes sense. He shuts out the White Sox in 5 innings, 1 run against Colorado, 1 run against Texas, and then 6 against Pitt. This guy's very erratic. He'll shut you out, and then he gives up 3 runs, 5 runs, shut out, 6 runs, 1, 0, 9, 2, 3. So if we take the 9 out, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 games, he's been really good. But you can't take the 9 out. You don't know if you're going to get the 9 or not. So he should be an under. We can see Cutter Crawford pitching well. So I don't want to go under in the game. Now we see with the Dodgers, how they blew the leads to the Tigers. So this is a team not playing well. Do we know who won yesterday? We had the Dodgers over 9, and it went over, but I don't know who won. And I had Boston over 8.5, which lost. So they played an under on Friday, and then an over yesterday. Must have had shitty pitching. Let's go Boston under 9. We'll go 2 units on this game because Cutter Crawford's pitching, good again, and Paxton is very good except for the, 1 run, 9, 1 run, 5, 4, 1 run, there's a lot of 1-run games. So let's go there, but just for 2 units. So let's go through it. We got Milwaukee. What are we doing, Milwaukee? Milwaukee is over 7.5. Sometimes my U's get close by the top, and I can't tell if it's over or under. So this is over. Milwaukee over 7.5, 3 units. The Yankees over 9, 3 units. The Tigers over 8, 5 units. The Mets over 8.5. We're watching. KC under 8, 5 units. The Cubbies under 7.5, 3 units. Baltimore 5 units. Oakland over 9, 3 units. Houston under 7.5, 5 units. Boston under 9, 2 units. And now if we're playing streaks, Baltimore is hot. Detroit's very hot, and they're scoring a lot of runs. So they can score, so they're winning. Their pitching sucks, but now they like I said, they got rid of they had this Austin Meadows hitting like 120. And there's about 3 players that really suck. But then all of a sudden they got hitters hitting 250, 260 now. Okay. And they're scoring. So let's take Detroit as the 5. So you 5 units, Detroit over 8, KC under 8, Baltimore and Houston under 7.5. So Baltimore's been hot. They beat Scherzer. Anytime you beat the Ace, I like betting the team. Houston under 7.5, ace against ace. And KC under 8, their ace is going against the good pitcher for whoever the hell they're playing, the White Sox. And the White Sox basically don't hit. So you've got them probably getting shut out today. But the White Sox pitcher's not bad. 3.58. KC wins this game easy. But you're laying 250, so you can go either way you want it. Okay. College football. Let's take a break and see what's going on in the British Open. So Trevor Lawrence is leading at 7 under, and Rose is 6 under, and Schauffele's 6 under. And I'm really happy that Scotty Scheffler has made a triple bogey, and now he's out of it. I hate that guy. And I'm rooting for what's his name? The big guy. What's his name? Yeah, Sean Lowry. I always like that guy. He had it, and then he bogeyed one of the holes, so he's pretty much out of it. And the leaders are moving up. They're not going back. So Trevor Lawrence is 7 under. Rose is 6 under. He'll never catch him. But they're on the 11th hole, so we'll check that out. I could have done this later, but I really didn't want to get into it too much later. We'll be brief. We'll just cover the sports and a little bit on gambling and money. And then we'll get to gold. All right. Week 1 college football. Florida State, 12.5, 54.5. I think Florida State will be an under team. They'll have a great defense. The quarterback sucks if they're going with Uglia Buglia. I don't know how long they'll go with him. He'll probably give the freshman a little bit of time in a few weeks. I'm sure he's a good quarterback, the freshman or whoever the backup is. I don't see Uglia Buglia lasting too long. Georgia Tech's good team, good coach. I like their quarterback. So the new quarterback, Florida State, Uglia Buglia, and Georgia Tech, their guy's back. Good, King. Nevada and SMU minus 24, 56.5. Both quarterbacks are returning. SMU, a very good team last year. They had a good offense and a good defense. Really good. 17 defense from SMU. You never get that. So they're turning the quarter into being, an A team, not an over team. I'll keep that in mind. I mean, you might want to bet them over. And then you got to realize, wait, they have a good defense. Now, what you want is a good system, because when you guys graduate or go transfer, you bring in other guys. Well, as long as you have a system, that works, then it's okay. Like Bo Schembechler, he could lose players. They always had a great defense, and Woody Hayes and those guys. And, Bill Walsh always had a good system. You don't know about Bill Purcell's because he always had Lawrence Taylor. But that's what you're looking for, is the good system. So you just bring in players, Jimmy Johnson and Florida State when they had Bobby Bowden, all those, they graduate. He lost Deion Sanders, and they didn't miss a beat. So that's what you're looking for, is just to get that flow. And it's a little harder when you have these transfers because they don't know your system. Where if they come up as a freshman, they learn the system, and then as they're sophomores, they start playing, and then junior, senior, they're really good. But these transfers, the problem with the transfers is they're used to a system over at Kansas, and now they're playing for Old Miss, and they got to learn their system. I mean, it's going to be a headache. This is not going to be like, oh, good, we can get a transfer guy and he'll work out, especially quarterback. It's not, I don't know why they're doing this. Like Dylan Gabriel knows the system at Oklahoma, goes to Oregon. He doesn't know the system. Is he going to be just as good? That's a big risk he's taking. All right. So both teams returning quarterbacks. All right. Minnesota, 1.5, 50.5 to North Carolina. Both have new quarterbacks. It couldn't get worse than what they had last year. So we will see. Again, the system, North Carolina throws the ball a lot, seems to have fairly good offense, fairly weak defense. Minnesota usually has a good defense, but the coaches are still there. So the system's there. We will see. Colorado is 8.5, 58.5 to North Dakota State. I don't know. Colorado cannot play defense. So good luck betting them. Jacksonville State, 4, 57.5 to Coastal Carolina. Jacksonville State has Rich Rodriguez. He's been there last year, and they were an over team last year. They gave up 20 a game, which is pretty good for them. A new quarterback. He played a little last year for him. Coastal Carolina, their quarterback's returning. Florida Atlantic and MSU, my MSU, Michigan State. Michigan State's 11.5, 48.5. No movement. Both teams have new transfer quarterbacks. Michigan State basically has the Oregon State coach and quarterback. And notice how Uglia Buglia didn't come with. He went to Florida State. Big mistake. So how well was he in this guy? The guy, benched him in this system too. So Michigan State should be a much better team this year. They have a much better coach. He was really good at Oregon State. So both quarterbacks are transfers. So State's 11.5, 48.5. Temple and Oregon. Temple and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is 41.5, 42, and 60.5 to Temple. Temple's the Z team. New quarterback who's very weak. Oklahoma gets a new quarterback we'll find out. If you're going to bet this game, you got to take Oklahoma, I think, versus the over-under, because Temple's not going to score. My score is 52-0 Oklahoma. So, I mean, you don't have to score as much if Oklahoma is Temple going to score. I doubt it. Temple had Kurt Warner's kid last year, and now he's transferred out. I can't remember what team he's on, but Temple couldn't do anything with him. They're not going to do anything without him. Wisconsin, 24, 56.5. New transfer quarterbacks for each against Western Michigan. Western Michigan's not bad. Wisconsin was an under team last year. They get Tyler Van Dyke, who's outstanding quarterback from Miami. Western gets a new one who's also a transfer. We'll have to see, because Wisconsin was supposed to do run and shoot last year. Didn't do a good job of it. And Western, I don't know. Again, these MAC schools they lose all their good players. Stanford, TCU, we got TCU down 7.5, 8.5, and 61 to Stanford. Stanford was a Z team last year. Both quarterbacks are returning. Stanford's guy is pretty weak. TCU, look for them to have a very good year this year. They get to the championship game 2 years ago. Last year, new quarterback, he sucked. Too many, too much on the graduation loss. This year, I think they're much better prepared. I love their coach. He's a very good offensive coordinator, offensive-minded coach. So there you go. Game of the week. The game of the 31st. We got Georgia 13.5, 47.5 against Clemson. Beck's back for Georgia. Clemson, their guy's back. The game's in Atlanta. Georgia fired their defensive coordinator for losing to Alabama, as they should have. He didn't put pressure on Milrose. What the fuck? So look for Georgia to get more aggressive defensively. So get ready for your unders. VTech and Vanderbilt. VTech 13-54. VTech's quarterback's back. Vandy's got a new quarterback who's a transfer. Vandy's a Z team. VTech's not bad. Again, I don't know how to grade these teams yet, because I got to use last year's grades. I got new coaches, new quarterbacks, all these transfers. I don't know that I have the same team I had at the end of last year. So I got to watch at least the first 2 weeks on some of these teams to really get it. I don't need it on Ohio State and Georgia. I know what I have with those. Oregon. Washington will be better than you think. UCLA will be better than you think. USC will not be as good as you think, because you think the defense is going to be good because they got the UCLA defensive coordinator, but they got to have players. If they don't have players, it doesn't matter. They're still not going to do anything. The coach is as good as their players. Yeah, I got Michael Jordan. I guess I can coach. Michael, just go out and play and do whatever you want. And so, yeah, I'm a great coach, aren't I? I'm smart enough to let Jordan be in the game. Maryland and Connecticut. I'm trying to find it. Okay. Maryland 21, 47.5. UConn, pretty bad team, gave up 30. They both have new quarterbacks. Tagliavua Jr. graduated, didn't get drafted. Really not that good. Maryland, I don't know how good they are. We'll see, but they both have new quarterbacks. Pitt and Kent State, 23.5, 53.5. Pitt's favored. Kent's terrible. They're a Z team. Pitt's really not that good. They both have new quarterbacks. Penn State, West Virginia. I like this game a lot. Penn State laying 10.5, 51.5. Both quarterbacks are returning. I look for a much closer game in West Virginia. It's a revenge game. Penn State beat them pretty good at Penn State. Look for West Virginia. They're a good team, the Big 12 team. Penn State's not as good on the road. They always struggle at Michigan, at Ohio State, where they play them better at home. Look for this to be, closer. I wouldn't be surprised West Virginia beats them, but should be a closer game. Well, Penn State has the Kansas offensive coordinator, but I'm not sure it's him versus the head coach at Kansas, who's making Kansas is a very good team now, and they're very explosive. So you got to watch when the Z team turns into a B team or an A team, because you're still thinking like New Mexico State. They're a Z team. No, not last year they weren't. And Kansas, they're a Z team. No, not anymore. And then you got to see who the new Z teams are. But that's what you're looking for. You got to just you got to kind of be open to the changes of the teams. Florida, Miami, the game that mystifies me. Miami 2.5, 55. Miami with Ward from Washington State at quarterback. Florida, their guys returning. I don't understand why Miami's road favorite. UTSA and Tennessee State, whatever. UTSA 22, 49.5. Both quarterbacks are new. Tennessee State was Division II, so you have nothing on them. UTSA loses Frank Harris. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. He's much better than Drake May and the guy on Michigan. So these guys don't know what they're doing. Big Nebraska against UTEP. Nebraska 27.5, 49.5. Returning quarterback for UTEP, although they're pretty weak. Nebraska, a new quarterback who's a freshman. They still have Heinrich Himmler, and it's basically they're getting to be an under team with Rule. They're Matt Rule, the coach. So look for them to play a lot of unders. Eastern Michigan and UMass. You got Eastern 1.5 point favorites and 49.5. A new transfer quarterback for Eastern and UMass. Their quarterback's returning. UMass sucks. Eastern's not a bad MAC team. Akron and Ohio State. Well, Ohio State 50 and 58.5. They both have new quarterbacks, transfers. Akron's a Z team. Ohio State is probably it's Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Utah, the top 4 teams. And again, this is a case I would lay the 50. I doubt Akron scores in Ohio State with Will Howard and Chip Kelly, the new coordinator and quarterback. I look for them to Will Howard's great from Kansas State. I mean, look for at least a 50-point game. You're not going to get help from Akron, so it's better to lay 44 with Ohio State than go over 52. You certainly can't go under. Ohio State might put up a 70 on you, but Ohio State, they've lost to Michigan 3 years in a row. That's not acceptable. Look for a big year this year. Northwestern. Where be you? 3.5, 43.5 to Miami of Ohio. Hey, Ohio's a really good team. Returning quarterback, and Northwestern, a new quarterback. So this game should be a close one. Ohio State, Syracuse. Syracuse 14.5, 47.5. New quarterback for Ohio, and Syracuse has the Ohio State old quarterback who sucked at Ohio State. Now he gets to suck at Syracuse. Indiana. Indiana's 19.5, 50.5. To Florida International, they got the James Madison coach. They got a good quarterback. So he's a new transfer. And Florida International has their returning quarterback. They both had shit defenses, but James Madison was a good A team. So look for Indiana to improve. And the James Madison was a really good team. So I look for Indiana to get much better this year. Texas, Colorado State. We got Texas laying 36 and 59. Both have returning quarterbacks. Urs was very good. Colorado State, I don't know. Colorado State with a weak defense gave up 30 a game, so we'll see. Georgia Southern, Boise minus 10.5, 57.5. New transfer quarterback. They got a freshman from USC. So he's obviously not that good because, he couldn't beat out Caleb, but he can't beat out this other guy, Miller, whoever their quarterback is, and the UNLV quarterback transferred there. So he's not very good. He's third string without Caleb. Georgia Southern's got a new quarterback who's a freshman. Boise should be very strong this year offensively. They not great defense, so this will be interesting. South Carolina and Old Dominion. South Carolina minus 20, 55.5. Returning quarterback for Old D. South Carolina is a new quarterback. Rattler sucked. I'm not impressed with the South Carolina. South Alabama goes against North Texas. North Texas is an explosive team, an over, and they also give up 37 a game. A new transfer quarterback for North Texas, and the returning freshman for South Alabama. So South Alabama 7 and 64.5, 65. Houston, a good game here. Houston laying 3, 56 to UNLV. Like I said, their quarterback left, so we got to see who the new quarterback is. We like their coach. They're a Z team who's getting better, and Houston is also a kind of a bad team last year, got good coach. So look for Houston to get much better. Their quarterback's back, but he wasn't very good. They gave up 31 a game, but their coach is really really a good coach. So look for Houston to be much more competitive this year. And Vegas has been playing well, so in conference, I don't know that Vegas will do much here, but we'll see. Troy against Nevada. Troy 15.5, 47. Nevada's got returning quarterback. Troy with a new one. They got the Notre Dame offensive coordinator who sucked last year. I look for Troy to be much weaker. Nevada, we'll see. I mean, they were, they must have been a Z team. Their defense sucked. So we'll see how they do, but neither team's very good. Alabama plays Western Kentucky. They're laying 31, over under of 60. We know they got Milrose back. Western Kentucky's got a new transfer. We know Alabama's got DeBoer. Look for this offense to be sparkling. Their defense under Saban was an 18, and DeBoer at Washington was a 23. So look for not as strong of a defense as Alabama's had, but look for a much stronger offense than they've had. And Western Kentucky is a pretty good team. Rice and Sam Houston. Rice 11.5, 48.5. New quarterback for Sam Houston, a new transfer for Rice. Sam Houston's a real bad team, under team. They don't score much. Rice, we'll have to see with the new with the new transfer quarterback. I don't know how it'll be yet. Michigan, they actually scheduled the team minus 20.5, 47.5 to Fresno State. Fresno State, Mikey Keene's back. Michigan, a whole new system, new coach, new defense, new defensive coordinator. The offensive line left, the running back left, the quarterback left, the coach left, the running back's gone. there's a different team with a different coach. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator. Michigan will probably be similar. They'll probably run and play defense. I like Fresno State very much in this game. They got a good coach, good quarterback. And Michigan, with all the new players, again, Michigan's like the Lions. They're very deceitful, Detroit. Then the fact they had the easiest schedule in the world, but when they played decent teams, they had trouble with Alabama and Washington. Their running back was out, so it was hard for them. But a lot of bullshit penalties in that game. But I thought that they got lucky not playing Georgia or Oregon. They never would have beat those teams. It would have been like the TCU game if they played Oregon and TCU scored 50 on them. And the same. See, that's the style that bothered them, is the TCU style. And then the Georgia, they wouldn't have scored anything. They would have ran the ball up the middle and lost 3 yards every play. And they would have had to rely on J.J. McCarthy. That would have been it. They played Georgia a couple of years ago with McNamara, and Georgia killed them. So they wouldn't have had a chance. I think Fresno State keeps this game close. Another strong game, A&M. I see a pick, a 1, a 1.5, and a Notre Dame -1 now. And over under 49. Interesting. So I definitely Notre Dame, new quarterback transfer, Riley Leonard from Leonard. He was okay at Duke. He wasn't great. He threw 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He ran a lot, I guess. A&M, returning quarterback, all sorts of new coach, new coordinators, new players. Look for A&M to be very strong this year. Probably in the Jerry Dome, my guess, but this should be, I don't know. I think A&M wants to make a statement. Notre Dame, they couldn't win with Hartman. The offensive coordinator's gone. The head coach sucks. So I don't love Notre Dame here. UCLA, Hawaii. I think UCLA will be better than we think. -12.5, 55.5. Chip Kelly leaves to coach Ohio State. Probably he'll be the head coach. And but UCLA's their running back coach is the head coach, so same system. Their defensive line coach is the defensive coordinator. So the system really hasn't changed for UCLA. Hawaii, strong offense, no defense. UCLA had a strong defense. Their quarterback's back, although he wasn't very good. So you got both returning quarterbacks. We'll see how good UCLA is. Kentucky against Southern Miss. If we can find them. Here it is. Kentucky laying 25, 50.5. A new transfer quarterback for Southern Miss. They are absolutely terrible. And Kentucky, we'll see. They got a new quarterback. Fairly good team. They've been getting better. Good defense. The defense has been outstanding. So let's see. But Southern Miss is a horrible team. Georgia State and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a really good team. 20.5, 57.5, Georgia Tech. New transfer quarterback for Georgia State, and the returning quarterback for Georgia Tech. I like, Georgia Tech should score a lot on this. This team has a weak defense, but we'll see about the over. Charlotte and James Madison. James Madison lost their coach, got a new coach. We'll see. Their quarterback is a transfer from Washington. Charlotte got a new quarterback. Charlotte's not a good team. So here, James Madison had an 18, and the coach is now at Indiana. So look for Indiana to go from a 30 defense to an 18 defense, roughly. It should be under 30. Charlotte's terrible. And the Washington, being a transfer from Washington, should be okay. Arizona State, Wyoming. Arizona State is 7 and 46.5. They're not very good. They got a new transfer quarterback as a freshman. Wyoming with a new quarterback. I believe they have a new coach. Who knows? This is just scratch your head time. Arizona, New Mexico. Arizona's coach went to Washington. They got a new coach, but the quarterback and the receiver are still there, and they have a great quarterback. So returning quarterback, New Mexico with a new quarterback. New Mexico was pretty bad last year, bad defense. So look for Arizona. Probably pound them here. We've got USC, LSU. We've got LSU by 6 and by 6.5, 62.5 over under. USC couldn't stop the win. They got a new quarterback. LSU got a new quarterback. The game's in Vegas. Should be high scoring. Brian Kelly, it doesn't matter. His system is very strong for offense. USC, we know their system is very strong offensively. That's my point about Caleb. You can put anybody in this. Moss in the bowl game, first start, throws for 6 touchdowns. So you're like, so is it Caleb or is it the offense? And we all know it's the offense. We've seen it at Oklahoma. We've seen it here. So look for USC to be explosive. But I'm not thinking their defense is going to be good because they got the UCLA defensive coordinator. That all of a sudden they're going to have a shutdown defense. UCLA's was a 18. I'm not expecting it to be 18 this year, but I'm not expecting USC to go from 35 to 18 anyway. They'll probably be, especially against LSU. Look for a lot of points here. Florida State, BC. Florida State 21, 51.5. BC's quarterback's back, but he's weak, and Florida State gets Ooglia Booglia. So that's your line. Why don't we watch the golf? Yeah, Shoffley's in the lead at 7 under and Rose is 6. Let's watch the golf, and then I'll come back after swim later today. But you got the baseball picks, and you got week 1 of college football, and then we'll do economics later on. All right, everybody. Good luck. Have a good day. It's the British Open, so we can come back later. All right. Economics is economics. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a nice day. www.teaserking.com.